Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, May 19th, and we're looking at Window Trader's market profile of SPY, IWM, and Triple Q. And you know, we talk about why not buy the dip, and we just rally every time. And today is just another perfect example of people who have been in this market, say for the last 12 years. They've seen the market do nothing but go up. Even when we went down that February and March, we were only down for 2 months. Any strong pullback has not lasted. We couldn't even think about what just transpired today. Triple Q's had a gap of 600 ticks. They filled it. We had a huge gap. We missed filling it by 72 cents. We go out with a price probe to the upside. So, gap lower, value lower, and we did nothing but push up basically all day in all three of these. We have afternoon pullback lows in J period in all three of these indices. Volume 100 million, very good. I had an excellent morning, didn't do much in the afternoon. I had a very good day, and I'll go over that in a minute. One thing we talked about in the room, when we get trend days that are up, when we have higher value, we're above the previous day's high, and it's just a grind. And I'm like, this is just tough to get long. Well, believe it or not, today when we were one time framing up and we had a chance for a trend day up twice, the tempo and volume was good. But there was one big issue. We were inside a large gap. It was tough to get long for me inside of that, and we had lower value. That's the kind of tempo and volume I want to see when we're trying to go for highs, and not inside a large gap. So that kept me out of a lot of trades in the afternoon, but I still had an excellent day. Triple Q's had an attempt for 6 sets of single prints. 6. They went 0 for 6. I don't know if I've seen that before. They had a chance for a trend day 6 times, failed all 6. Triple Q, Russell had a chance for 2 sets of single prints, failed both times. We had a chance in SPY and ES 3 times, and they all failed. However, we all closed out our highs. Russell's gap is still fairly big, but one other very positive thing about the Russell, they got below that last month's low again, inside month down, and closed again above it by over $2.50. So sellers continually try to push Triple Q's inside month lower and get nothing for it. I'm sorry, I keep messing those two up. IWM and Righty keep trying to get their inside month down in Russell and keep failing. Triple Q, on the other hand, bounced literally pennies above their 6-day balance low. So did we, for that matter. We bounced bounced up to about 60 cents of our balance low on the daily and came right off it and rallied. What was our low today? We rallied over $5. We got below the 50-day moving average only like the 5th time this year. That's it. Only 5 times. And only 2 days we closed below it. Well, we closed above it by almost $4. So sellers, there hasn't been any sellers. The only selling in this market has been weak longs at certain points that get out and shorts that attempt to push in. That's really it. Now, in the bigger picture, I'm still calling the weekly down and the daily's balance, and the gap is still my main focus. So as impressive as this was, until we fill this gap at least and stop. Well, if we take out today's high, we'll stop the one-time framing down as far as inside the balance, and we should go fill the gap. But until that happens, the bigger picture is still down in the weekly. Monthly still very healthy. So we opened up today in A. I said I am not going to take a short right away. It's just too big a gap. I said if we push down close to the weekly low, I would look to take a long the first time. If we got a good extension above, I'll look for a short. Well, when we went back and forth through the open, and when we finally looked like we were going to get to the open, and I actually took a long. I took a 405 call for 2 reasons. The 50-day moving average at the time and the opening were right there, and I figured if we get above it, we should get some kind of decent pop. And we did, and I was on board for a decent amount of calls. So that worked out nice. It wasn't long-lived, that's for sure, but it popped about 60 cents, and I was long 50 calls and worked out beautifully. Then what I did in A, when we came back down, I took a 50 play straddle. Bought them at 301 and sold them out between 350 and 371. So that was an awesome play on that straddle. Then B takes out A's low. Didn't take it right away. I said, I want to see what they get. But once we came back into A, I said, I will look for shorts until we take out the opening again. Never did. I scalped shorts 3 times in B period with the 408s. Did nothing in C period. I did nothing in C period. And then in D, when we popped above, I said, I don't think this early with this kind of gap, with value low, we're going to go trend. So I scalped 410 puts in D period. And then the only trade I lost on the day was E. I tried to do what I did in D, but then once F took out E's high, and I still had, I'm like, I'm going to get out of these. I'm not comfortable. I could always get back in. So I lost small on those 410 puts. And the only other trade I did then was in I. When we took out H's low, I took the short, came back up. I was actually holding them. It wasn't a lot. It was like 15. J went above I's high, still had them. I said, if we make a new high and don't get much, I'll put on a decent size. And then that's when the Fed minutes got digested. I only had the 15 and they flushed it, and it was a beautiful. So I got paid very nicely. It took them off right at the single prints fill. That filled the last set of single prints. And then for me, J, K, L, and M with total chop, I stayed out of it. Very visual points that held today, where change took place above A's high, right? After D and E, we never saw above the IB again. So J is a very visual area for tomorrow with the afternoon pullback. We're only 8 wide, so the only destinations are the high, the low, the probe, and the pullback. So excellent day, again, for me and most of the trading room. The fact that we have these ranges and volume is awesome going forward. Destinations for tomorrow. So tomorrow the upside is today's high is 411.05 and then filling the gap at 411.77. Only a 72-cent gap. When we open up today, that gap was 500 ticks, just under 500 ticks or cents, down to 72. Amazing. Then we have 410.82. Oh, no, we don't. I take that back. I forgot. When we rallied late in M period, we got that naked POC. It was a downside destination, became an upside destination. I totally forgot about it late in M period. Here you go. We got it. That's off the page. So all we have is today's high, filling the gap, and then we go into the ones that you should have, the price probe from the 10th, 418.74. I don't know why I wrote the 10th. Hold on. No, I'm losing my mind. Not 418. 413.10 from yesterday. Price probe. Then we have a price spike below B's low, 414.46. Then we have the afternoon rally high. Remember, 415.49. We do have a price probe, but that's a lot higher. I had the wrong sheet out. So those are your destinations to the upside. For the downside, K's high is the price probe, 410.56. Then we have the afternoon pullback low. That's very important to me, 407.59. Then we have 405.33, today's low, 404.79, weekly low. So this is the second time now. Let's go to the charts. This is the second time we've gotten down to that level. I still think it would be healthier to wipe out the monthly gap, the weekly gap, all those things, and get a fresh start. But so far, bulls have defended it. Here's your monthly chart. One time framing up, 7 months, it's healthy. Weekly, again, call it balance, call it down. I'm calling it down right now. Still calling it down. We did not take out last week's low yet. So with 2 days to go, if this market decides to rally, there's a very good chance we could have an inside week. And then hopefully we get some resolution on the weekly when we come out of that. But there's still 2 days to go in the week, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you certainly have to consider it. And then on the daily, again, you want to call it down because the gap held and you came out of a 3-day balance, you can certainly do that. I'm calling it balance. 7-day balance. The low of it is 404.79. The high of it is 417.49. So it's basically a $13 balance. Here's the 50-day moving average. I said this morning in the video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th time this year we've gotten below the 50. Only twice out of those 6 have we closed below it, and it was only for a day, because after we closed below it, we started going higher. This market is incredibly resilient. When it's backed by the Fed and the Treasury, there's no reason not to buy the dip right now. At some point, people are going to buy the dip and it's going to keep going lower. But we haven't reached that yet, right? We're only in balance. We have to go down on these time frames for that to happen. I hope you had a great day trading. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.